some wonderful memories. Visualize that hill without any houses on it, and then the sun. We basically built all our own buildings. On the hill would be the horses. Knocked our other gym down. Roof came flying off. So there is a tunnel underneath that main road, and we all had our ice skates here with us. And the boys, they thought they were really modern. They'd climb up in the trees and put a field hockey to America, pretending that we were fancy skaters. It was the man on campus. And eventually I got to know it was taken up with a computer. The computer was huge. When I was here, you couldn't see houses. So wonderful memories of Sanford. This building, as you can see, is right next to the headmaster's house, and it was built in 1938. It was the first cottage that we built on campus. It was built completely by students and faculty, with the exception of the plumbing and the electricity. It is actually a two-story house. It's a hillside ranch, and indeed it is a hillside. If you recall where the old swimming pool, the original swimming pool, which was built in 1933, was straight down the hill behind it, and later on the chapel was built in the valley. So it overlooks Chapel Valley and has a beautiful view there. Orchard Cottage was built for a faculty residence, and the first faculty to live in it was Eleanor Sawn, and Eleanor was Ellen Q. Sawn's, our founder's, oldest daughter. It has also been used as a dormitory for our younger boys, and if we were to go in it, you would see the bed porches. Once again, because of the tuberculosis and the polio being so rampant, every building with children, or even the faculty buildings, had the bed porches, because one of the best things they had at that time was fresh air for both polio and TB people, and we didn't want that to be part of Sanford. If you take a picture from around the back side, you can see once again the bed porches. Well, actually, there is one apple tree remaining. At one time, Sanford had 7 apple orchards, and right in this area was one of the apple orchards. And these 2 large trees were planted after the trees died. Originally, when the school was small, we didn't need many apple trees, but as the school grew, then we needed more, and the orchards moved farther away from the center of campus. But it was because this was an apple orchard, so this was Orchard Cottage. Yes, the Stewart Cottage. As you can see, I'm standing right between the Stewart Cottage and Orchard Cottage. This most recently was the residents were Brian Freakin and his wife, and of course, you know, Chris is in school with us, and his 2 brothers as well. Chris happens to be in my math class this year. He's doing very, very well. This building was built 2 years after Orchard Cottage, and Stewart was once again for a faculty residence. But once again, there were some small children living with the family that weren't their children. They were caretakers for them, but they were school-employed people. And once again, it's a hillside cottage. There's a downstairs where the dining room and another room are downstairs, as well as bathroom facilities. And upstairs are 2 bedrooms and then a big living room. It was very, very nicely appointed. Actually, it's unoccupied at the moment. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Mr. Anderson somehow used it again. There is a problem with dampness in it, but in today's day and age, you can cure that in one way or another. It's kind of fun. There's kind of like an open stairway and a little fence there, and you can look right down. But children live there. None of them fell over or broke or anything. So it's a nice little house, but it is definitely a cottage, not a house, so to speak. And I think that's about all about Stewart. Stewart was named for one of our students who was lost in the war. So we can go on to Douglas Cottage if you wish now.
All right. Okay. Location.
Yes, we had a cottage here. It was called Douglas Cottage, and it was actually a tenants building. We remodeled it to become a faculty residence, and it also was a dormitory for boys. And later on, after we didn't have the younger boys, it became the school student union. But when we were still a boarding school, we had a student union, so we had our own student union, kind of like the colleges, and we had music in there and games in there, and boys and girls had an opportunity to socialize together, especially on weekends. So Douglas was used for years and years and years, and right behind, Douglas was maybe about 30 yards to my right, and it was right in the middle of what is now the parking lot. And just beyond that, we had our own gas tank. And because we were a farm, we could have our own gas tank, and of course you don't pay taxes on fuel if it's for farming. But that's just giving you a place. Old Stephen May, it was originally the barn, New Stephen May, and right here was Douglas, and Douglas Cottage was a remodeled tenant farmer's house.
That used to be over here?
Yes, indeed. It also was built by the students and by the faculty, everything except the plumbing and electricity, which of course by law had to be done by professionals. And if you go from where I'm standing now, which is in the quad right behind the amphitheater stage, and look beyond me, instead of having this large building, which is now our middle school, and the gymnasium behind us, from here up to the gymnasium, there was a stream. Well, it looks too high to have a stream, but it did come down and eventually filled the pond down here, which was originally called Farm Pond, and more recently, after it was rededicated, it was dedicated as the Cab Calloway Farm. Cab Calloway's grandchildren went to Sanford, and his daughter, the mother of the children that graduated from Sanford, worked for, I think it was Gore, but I'm not quite sure.